You guys ever notice that a lot of these, a lot of the thumbnails for these videos are starting to have the same, like there's a girl on the front, and she's got like her eyebrows are like this. Oh, I don't know. I just kind of noticed that a lot of the ghost videos these days
Brazil,
have
a
that sort of
building with a banquet
same
room
look.
locked tight.
Young,
CCTV
young,
footage
pretty
captured a
girl
man
with
in white
shocked
stepping out from the
eyebrows,
corner of the room
something
where
in the
there was no
background.
door.
They're just scrolling for a video, and it's just there's a lot of them. Okay, what's the ghost here? Dad's up for a late night snack. That's your ghost. Is that how we're starting this video? Okay, let me just very quickly. This is going to be a pretty easy one to talk about, but let's just, for the sake of it, let's just go full screen and give you a proper explanation. So, when you're recording in low light, cameras tend to preserve memory as well as function slightly differently. What they do is they compress the entire scene that you're looking at. Okay, they will only record small segments of the video feed, only if there's motion, right? So in this case, you have an infrared camera that is recording a break room, it looks like. And, so the motion that it's recording is this person who's gone up to the fridge. And the only reason it's recording the motion is because the person opens the fridge, the light comes out, and the camera picks it up as motion, right? So it starts recording a 30-second, a very small clip, okay? A couple of seconds, maybe 30-second clips, 30 seconds at a time, okay? So the second thing that happens is another person enters the break room, okay, and he turns the camera on, and there's a flash because the camera's IR sensor is detecting a large amount of light, so it's switching from night vision to standard vision, where it goes color. Now, this is important because the moment it happens, and I'm going to switch back to the recording over here. The moment it happens, there's a flash. And that flash is the perfect place to put a cut, okay? This guy here, who's here for a late night snack, opens the fridge and has this 30-second recording. The only thing that we have to go on to suggest that these videos happen right next to each other is the fact that he's walking into the room right here. Okay? So, what I mean to say is when the primary video ends, it only records for 30 seconds and then it turns off. Mine records for 15 seconds at a time. Okay? So I have a 15-second clip of motion. If it doesn't detect motion, within the next 15 seconds, there's no recording, right? So it records for 15 seconds and then terminates the video. The next video starts, and the second clip will start the moment it detects motion, whether that be a light turning on or a light turning off. Light turns off, it goes, hey, the scene has changed, start recording. There's another 15-second clip. But the light turning off appears in the camera as a flash. Poof. It starts recording the moment there's a flash because it's on continuous recording. That's what this is. It's a security camera. It's on continuous recording. So the second clip is when the lights turned on. There could be hours between these two clips, but we are led to believe that they happened simultaneously under the pretenses because the light turns on at this time. But what they've actually done is they've taken two separate clips and they've butted them up together. Now, the cut between the two videos, the key reference or the keyframes will be identical throughout the entire film because the background, the foreground, and the chairs and everything, they don't change. Probably because it's the same night. So we could probably see if maybe some of the chairs move around. If we notice anything like the stuff on top of the table here, nothing changes. So I'm led to believe that it happens in the same day. Okay, so none of the keyframe changes, but we are led to assume that these two clips are, they're one video, you know, because they're played one after the other. But again, there could be hours in difference. There could be hours apart. This is a break room, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're I'm skeptical. This whole this flash and him like
He stood
grabbing a
there
snack.
looking around, then vanished the moment the security guard turned on the lights and rushed
Yeah, it
around the
wasn't a
room he
security guard
believed to be
either. It was just
haunted.
another
The
coworker who was
space
going to get a
remained
snack.
still
Maybe
and
it's the
silent,
same guy
yet an
going to get a snack with a
unsettling
different
chill
jacket
began
on.
to spread through
But
the
again,
air.
those two clips, there could be hours in between them, and they just stitched them together and played them in sequence. Just like I said in my previous video, where I moved the plant behind me, um, like you don't know how much time was gone in between there. You didn't notice. Like I cut that out. Maybe my position moved a little bit, but I could have somebody else come into the frame, pause the video, have somebody else come into the
Turn
room,
on the
move
light.
the plant, and then just keep going as, you know.
Hello?
Anyway, what's I was talking over the exposition.
I heard something. Nothing?
So this is a row house. I
Is
can tell you that
anyone
this isn't a detached. This is a semi-detached because of the way that the basement is constructed. The beams continuing along in a straight line like that, as well as being buried over the. Never mind.
He turned the camera toward the basement once more, his nerves on edge.
Yeah. So he heard a noise in the basement. He goes into the basement to investigate. He lives in a semi-detached house.
There.
Just based on how the construction looks in my experience with houses like these. So the sound could have come from a neighboring
Something.
house, and then all the paranormal activity that you see here is this pop-up armoire here. It's literally a pop-up armoire or a greenhouse. It moves. So that's the misdirection. He looks left. That's your classic misdirection. And then he settles on the frame.
What?
Settles on the frame to watch it move. There could be somebody underneath the stairs here with a rope. Maybe somebody who's hiding down here who's got a rope that he's pulling on the
camera toward the basement
on the rope
once
to move
more,
that
his
thing.
nerves on edge.
Um,
And then, in a brief
yeah, there's
flash,
his friend.
if you look closely, you'll see a faint figure gliding rapidly across the frame, as if someone.
Yeah, so there's that's a physical person. That's his buddy who's in the basement, who's hiding underneath the stairs. He comes down the stairs like, we're gonna film a ghost video. I'm gonna come down the stairs. You're gonna pull the string or whatever, and you're gonna move this thing. And I'm gonna be like, whoa, Jesus! And then I'm gonna run up the stairs, and then I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna record again and have you walk by the stairs. Again, you don't know how much time was in between those two clips. They could have stopped for an entire day and then went over, hey, we should probably add another scene to this, and then just like stitch them together. What do we got here?
Footage. You might wish he had taken those warnings. It was just silly gossip. But after reviewing this footage,
Somebody's told him he's got ghosts in his house. All right.
Yeah, man, I'm recording this video because I need you guys to be my fucking witness.
My
People
witness.
told me this place is haunted, and I was like, no, it's not.
You got exposition. That's great. Thanks for explaining.
I've been here.
Show me the ghosts.
Good night. Man, I'm scared out of my mind. Last time I seen the little girl, she was over there behind that little dollhouse, man.
Okay, so it's called pareidolia. You're predisposed to the specific suggestion. That specific suggestion being that there are ghosts here. So you're affirming. It's called confirmation bias. You're affirming your suspicions or your hypothesis based on the fact that you're seeing or hallucinating a little girl or whatever. So right away, I can tell you that if you're in the dark, your eyes cannot perceive everything, so your brain is rapidly trying to interpret what you're looking at. And with low light vision, it doesn't actually know. With a normal sane person, or not normal sane person, a perfectly functioning mental person, or person with a perfectly functioning brain, will be able to identify whether or not there is something there. Similarly, when you go to sleep, sometimes you'll have hypnagogic, hallucinations. Sometimes when you're falling asleep, about 20-30 minutes into your sleep cycle, something stirs you and you look up and you see something and you get startled. Your brain is trying to rationalize what it's looking at, but doesn't totally understand because it's not getting enough stimulation or light return to your eyes. So if you're already predisposed to a psychic, I want to say psychotropic. If you're already predisposed to seeing a ghost, where you're expecting to see the ghost and you're convinced you're going to see a ghost, you're going to see a ghost because that's what your brain is expecting to see. Therefore, it's interpreting that data and saying you saw this. When you're walking home at night and you're walking through the forest, you're like, oh, what if there's an alien? And then you say, I see an alien, right? Because you're looking around and you want to see an alien because your brain is already picturing that alien. So it's already got the stimulation there. And so when it's looking and it doesn't have enough information coming back into your eyes and it's being interpreted into your brain's going to go, well, we thought it was an alien, therefore there's an alien. So you're already scared, hyped up. Your threat awareness is higher. So you're already physically, amped up. Your adrenaline's going, and you're mentally, you're like, there's definitely a ghost here. I'm definitely going to see a ghost. And so your brain has already got the ghost in the chamber and is ready to pull the trigger on it.
Hell, man. Scared as shit. Holy shit.
Chris's hands trembled as he held the camera. And
So
the next scene
this is misdirection. This is
paused,
classic
slowly
misdirection to amplify the payoff. Okay, so he walks over to the dollhouse, and he's like, "Guys, I saw a ghost behind this dollhouse." So I'm gonna walk up to the ghost dollhouse really slowly, and then so you are expecting to see the ghost behind the dollhouse, but nothing happens. Your adrenaline starts to increase because you're like, it's gonna jump out at me, it's gonna jump out at me. Your adrenaline starts to increase. Nick released an entire series of videos on this. The fear, the jump scare, misdirection, horror. You know, he did an entire series explaining the cinematic direction that people use to build up tension so that they can put a ghost in and or put something in where you wouldn't expect it. You know, the jump scare, misdirection. Nick has an entire series on this. I highly recommend you go and look at it. He spent a lot of time doing it. He worked really hard on it. Took him months to put together, and nobody watched it. I highly recommend that you do because it explains a lot of these concepts that I'm trying to explain. But in any case, he has you walking to the edge of or he has you believing that something is going to pop out of the ghost or out of the house. Sorry, I keep saying ghost. It's going to pop out of the dollhouse, but nothing happens. So you're like, your tension is really high. You have a small release. You're like, oh, so you start to relax. You turn around and, oh shit, there's the ghost. So it's classic misdirection, and then presented with the ghost here makes you believe it more or makes you respond however. However, being somebody like myself who I understand that concept, when he's going towards the house, I'm like, this is not where the ghost is going to pop up. The ghost is going to pop up behind him. And so when he turns around, and it does,
Small, blurry figure, its face
can confirm.
briefly appeared behind a tiny dollhouse on the table. The girl
Allegedly.
stared at him silently without a word. Maybe it's just a prank. Maybe my friends are making a fake video, he said, his voice
His friends,
shaking.
he
The
is making a
genuine
fake
fear in
video.
His expression made those words sound like a weak excuse, even to
Who's this
himself.
guy in the bottom left corner? Weird. Anyways, yeah, so that's classic misdirection.
The next video was uploaded by a user named X.
Friend of mine that is now deceased captured this outside their house. Okay, so the deception, or the fact that they're deceased doesn't really add anything to this.
Passed away. Recorded this right outside his house 2 weeks before he died.
Okay, so adding the fact that your friend is deceased doesn't add anything to the kid. It doesn't convince me any more than it would otherwise. I would have omitted that piece of information. Adding that piece of information makes it seem less credible, just because you're trying to set the mood. You're trying to say they have no reason to lie to you.
Figure
They're dead.
Slowly across a parking lot.
Okay, so the problem again, the problem I have to point out here, this is a low light camera. This is an infrared. What you're looking at right here, you can see the bright light, and then the drop off. You know, whatever it is, 10 meters, 10% per meter, 10% per foot, or whatever. The light is being reflected off the ground, and you're getting 100% of the light back. Therefore, it's white. 100% of the light back because whatever this beam here is painted white. So you're getting 100% of the light back. Therefore, it's white. Now you're getting 80%. 70%, 60%, 50%, 40%, no, 0%, whatever, all the way up. So what you have is a figure who is moving through the 20 to 30, maybe 40% zone. So the camera is only receiving, let's say, 43% of the light back. So it's not registering the fact that there's somebody there because there just isn't enough light coming back for it to really be able to uncompress and focus the information, right? And so it's interpreting this really very, very, very what I would say camouflaged person, because the amount of light that's being returned from this person who's wearing a somewhat darker or more light absorbing material is matching the same light return as the ground that they are walking in front of. Therefore, it is very difficult for the camera to interpret and translate that information because, once again, it's a digital system, okay? It is ones and zeros, binary, loading in frame over and over and over again. There is a person here who is walking across your scene, and it is highly compressed because it just doesn't have enough information being returned to the iris to see what it's looking at.
Making a sound, then faded into thin air.
Probably because your camera doesn't have a video, or it doesn't have a microphone. This is the kind of stuff that drives me insane, is that everyone keeps looking at these security camera footages and then they're so fixated. Here's another one. This one moves at least.
There. See? It's right there.
Are we panning through a video that's being shot live, or are we panning through a picture? Because it looks like they're manipulating the camera itself.
Yo, what?
Okay, so what we see here is an aura. There's a couple of different ways I could explain this one. The first one is the Disney tapes. Say you have a CCTV camera, closed circuit cameras that are being recorded onto a VHS media, or are being the VHS is very specific. So Disney parks had this issue where they believed that there were ghosts that were wandering around their park at night, because when they were filming, or when they were recording, the security camera footage at night, you would see ghostly figures walking around when they played the videos back. But what it ended up being was a scheduled maintenance person or a janitor who was walking the same pathway every single day, because that was their job. Check here, check here, check here, check here. Walk the same path every day. A security officer will do that. They will follow a particular path because they have a routine that they need to follow to prevent people from stealing or damaging or vandalizing the property. So what ended up happening was this person walked the exact same path every single day, and it burned the image of that person into the tape that they were constantly recording over. And so the ghosts that were appearing was just the fact that they had re-recorded over the same media so many times, and the same person walked the path so many times, that it physically lightened the section of film that they were walking. That person doesn't come in for a day. They re-record over top of it, but that lightened spot, that burn-in was still there. And so they're recording a ghost, the burn-in, over a still camera. So right here we have a camera that they're panning. So could this be a camera that is set up with such a wide aperture that it can record the entire parking lot, and what they're doing is they're panning around the video footage? Because if that's the case and the frame never changes, there could be a burn-in effect, and this is somebody's car that's backing up. This could also be light from a passing by like airplane, or a passing by vehicle, or even just a spider that's like really close to the lens, that's like walking across, or like, escaping across. If I had to guess, I would say that the video footage is highly compressed, and that this is a physical person who's walking across the parking lot, but they're not reflecting enough light, and so all of this, you can see how the ground here isn't moving. See how it's all still? There's nothing moving here. You can occasionally see a raindrop pass by, but the water ripple effect, like if it was raining heavily enough, this water over here would be moving. It's not. It's static. It's super still. It's static, which suggests to me that that this very slight amount of motion is enough to uncompress that particular frame, but there's not enough light being returned because it's oversaturated from all the other light going on, so you can't see the person walking by.
Simply vanished.
Here's a single frame of this person, where the camera was actually able to interpret that information.
Staged. A hope.
It wouldn't be a stage. It's just camera compression on a security camera.
But the eyes.
They save resources long term. This is another misdirection, or another stage thing. But yeah, so cameras will compress their video footage to save on power and save on recording space. If you were to record security footage 24/7, for an entire day, you would end up with petabytes of data constantly, right? And then you'd have to swap out your hard drives every day. Nick and I do these recordings for 15-20 minutes, and it's 3 gigs. Right now, imagine recording for like 24 hours straight, and then keeping all of that all that video footage uncompressed. That would be terabytes per hour, of data that you're cycling through. So to reduce the amount of compression, to reduce the amount of storage or media being taken up, videos will compress to a single image and then only record the motion. It'll find motion, and it'll only record the motion. And I don't mean it'll turn the whole camera on and record a specific portion. It will only record that motion purposefully. So you'll find a lot of times, like when I worked at Wendy's, we used to have security camera footage of the parking lot, right? And so sometimes there would be cars that are in the parking lot on the security footage that were not in the parking lot, that they weren't in the parking lot when I went to go look. I was like, this guy's been here all day. I'll look out the window. It's not there because that camera hasn't received any data to uncompress that video, right? And so it's just a still frame. A car drives by and half the car disappears, and then it's gone. It disappears. It's compressed. That's all it is. Now, this next video here appears to be people who are playing catch at an abandoned building or something like that, and they look up into the window and they happen to notice that there's a person staring down at them, and they go to investigate. Okay. That's gonna do it for this one. I'm not bothering now. Look at the way that he like, what's that? Ghost? I'm not even gonna bother. That was so bad.
No one else.
It's very Scooby-Doo. What is that? Oh, forget it. I'm not going with it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's not worth my time. Thanks for watching. This is another episode. I'm recording a couple episodes ahead because I'm going to an anime convention at the end of the month. So if you know, you know. And then Nick and I are going to do paranormal investigations, which might have already happened. Who knows? But in any case, we're going to end this one here. 20 minutes. That's the guidelines that Nick has given me. So let's exit by saying, don't forget to water your plants. And also, don't overwater them. Because if you do, you'll get root rot and your plants will die. Some of my plants are dying because I can't remember when I watered them. All right, that'll do it. See you in the next one.